I didn't know. Yeah, you are ready to. I. Oh, that is. Okay. They said we can get started.
Okay. So I'm just gonna just say hello, and then these three, and then we'll give opening remarks right here.
Okay, so you're gonna call them up. Okay.
Yeah. Hello. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Assembly Budget Subcommittee hearing on education finance, on the community college topic and ways to improve outcomes in remedial education. And we have a robust agenda this morning and hopefully a good dialogue on what we can do in California to really address this topic. But before we get to that, we wanted to thank our hosts and bring up the folks from Oxnard College and the Ventura Community College District to say a few words as they welcome us this morning. So first we have President Linbaugh.
Thank you, sir. Good morning. It's my privilege to serve as the president of Oxnard College. On behalf of all of us, we welcome you to our beautiful campus. For those of you who have not been here before, we have an enrollment of about 7,000 with 18 associate degree for transfer, 37 associate degrees in special programs and programs as diverse as culinary training and fire technology. So we're very glad to have you here. We're very proud to serve the citizens of Ventura County. It's now my pleasure to introduce the Chancellor of the Ventura County Community College District, Dr. Bernard Luska.
It's also my pleasure to welcome you to Oxnard College, which is I think, the poster college for the legislation that Assemblymember Irwin has passed. It's one of the most significant Hispanic serving institutions in America, located in exactly the right place. So it's good to have you here. Ventura County Community College District has about an unduplicated enrollment of about 50,000. And our sister colleges to Oxnard are Ventura and Moore Park. We're very proud of them. My purpose here just is to welcome you and introduce the chair of our Board of Trustees to introduce the members of our Board of Trustees. Larry Kennedy, Larry, if you'll come up. Okay. I'll let you do that. And I can't pass the opportunity. Where's Pam Walker? Oh, there's Pam. I just have to I'm going to steal the introduction of Pam Walker. Somebody else will do it. But she's the Vice Chancellor for Educational Services for the state of California, and she's leading many of the initiatives that are going to make everything successful. Larry, you can.
Thank you, Chancellor. Actually, I was a teacher here for 33 years, and I've been in this room many times. And thank you, students, for coming. As chair of the board, we have 5 members of the board. I want to introduce Bernardo Perez, the vice chair, and Diane McKay, Steve Blum, and Arturo Hernandez. And our student trustee is here, Ilsa Mimas. Thank you for coming, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for welcoming us to Oxnard College this morning. My first time here in the Oxnard area, so got a nice little tour this morning, and thank you for inviting us to participate today. As I said earlier, today marks our first hearing of the Assembly Budget Subcommittee number 2 on Education Finance through the 2016 budget year, and the first topic of the year is this one. It is an important topic. I really want to thank Assemblymember Irwin, who we're going to hear from in a second, for bringing this issue to the forefront last year and talking about how we can not only address in the state budget, but really talk more about and have some oversight and accountability on the topic in general. And focusing on this topic is critical to the community college system, as we know, which serves over 2 million Californians, 113 campuses across California. We know that about 75% of our entering students need some remedial education before they go on to take some of their main courses in math and English. And we also know that these outcomes aren't always good. If you look on the agenda, it's staggering numbers and kind of a little bit depressing, knowing that a lot of people, young people, older people who go to the community college system don't always get through the system and get the results that they're looking for, and frankly we need as an economy. We need over 1 million more college graduates in our state in the next 10 years. We need more and more people matriculating, going through this system and getting ready for a career or to transfer on to a four-year college. And we certainly know that we can do better in this. And last year, again, with the leadership of Assemblymember Irwin, we pushed forward a proposal that the governor embraced and put in his budget. It was adopted, the Basic Skills and Student Outcomes Transformation Program, to help provide colleges with the opportunity to revamp their basic skills programs and help more students get through remediation and into a certificate, transfer, or a degree program. And today's hearing is dedicated to learning about this program and approaches that we can take to improve the system here in California. And we look forward to a robust conversation. But before I introduce Assemblymember Irwin, I just want to note that this isn't just an abstract topic. Thinking about coming here in this beautiful community college setting, and literally 25 years ago this fall, I entered a community college up in Sacramento, American River College, and after unfortunately an uninspiring high school academic career, I won't tell my kids about that, I was ill prepared for college, and I took the assessment test a few months before I was supposed to start college in the fall. And I was pegged to be in some of these remedial courses for a couple years. And it was very, very frustrating. I didn't prepare for the test, so I look about the refresher. I'm like, aha, good ideas. And so I think a lot of this comes to the forefront. I would have had to, I think, go for 2 or 3 years to some of the other courses. And I don't know how it happened, but I found a way to convince my English professor to let me in and audit the class back then. And I was able to fight through it and figure it out and succeed and got a good grade, and did the same thing with a stats course. And so I see that there are different ways how you can do this. And so I just want to let people who are working on this and the students that I know this issue firsthand, and I know that it is complicated. But frankly, as we see from the stats, not everybody had an outcome like I was able to have. And so I think this is an important topic to make sure everybody has the tools to navigate the system, because it is so critically important to the success of California. So with that, let me introduce my assembly colleague and our host here today to say a few words before we begin with the program. Assemblymember Irwin.
Thank you, and it's really great to see everybody here today, a lot of educational advocates and board members and professors. Especially, I always love to see the students, so I appreciate you being here. Also, this is a legislative hearing, and generally they're held in Sacramento, but Assemblymember McCarty was good enough to say we need to come to Oxnard, because this is a school that could really benefit from this program. And we already have some very good examples of good things that are going on in Oxnard also. So I do appreciate that he traveled down here yesterday. Many people have traveled a long way and taken time away from their busy schedules to be here. In particular, I would like to thank Oxnard City College for hosting us today. I want to thank the Legislative Analyst's Office, the Community College Chancellor's Office, Ventura Community College District, and the Campaign for College Opportunity, and all the different advocates that are here that really helped us get this done and really helped shape the legislation. I also want to thank the Department of Finance and the Brown administration for both being here today and for including this proposal in the budget last May. It was usually we have a fight with these bills, and when we got the May revise and it was already included in the budget, we thought, wow, the governor already likes our proposal. So we were able to just work on refining it going forward. This hearing will focus on basic skills education and the implementation of the Basic Skills and Student Outcomes Transformation Program. having authored legislation that sparked the funding for this program. I'm very happy to be able to highlight the opportunity today here in Oxnard. Policymakers in Sacramento recognized the opportunity and appropriated $60 million for evidence-based reforms. And this is no small sum. And I've told everybody that I've worked with, I intend to make sure that this money is spent in a way that shows that we can have good outcomes. We are going to make sure to hold everybody accountable for this money. This success of this program is very important to me because I know that there is enormous potential for these reforms to impact outcomes for students not only here in Ventura County but across the state's 113 community colleges. Here at Oxnard College in particularly, we see success rates that demonstrate the issue that we are talking about today. Success rate meaning that those students starting in basic skills that complete a college level course. For students who start in basic skills, success rates at Oxnard College right now are 27% in math and 34% in English. That means that only 27% of young people that start and test remedial ever finish a single college level course. These numbers show that our existing remedial offerings are failing our students, and despite the promising reform efforts that we will hear about later, we can all agree that there is much room for improvement. If there are better models of remedial instruction available for our students, they deserve to have it offered to them. As you will hear today, 75% of the incoming community college students test below college level in math and English and are in need of remediation. This leads to roughly 157,000 community college students enrolling in basic skills each year, and about 1/4 of all math and English classes that are taken are in basic skills. This paints a picture of a huge challenge for our community colleges, and one that requires a great deal of staff and faculty hours, budgetary resources, and dedication from students pursuing a degree. But it also means that added efficiency through reforms can lead to huge savings and reduced opportunity costs for students. Data shows that regardless of incoming preparation level, the more semesters of required remediation, the less likely those students are to ever complete college-level courses. In the community colleges that have implemented some of the best practices of this program, based on the students' completion rates, in English, they more than double, and they are more than 4 times better in math compared to students in traditional remediation. Unfortunately, less than 1/3 of community colleges currently offer such new approaches, and if they do, they are limited to 1 or 2 course sections and are not available to most basic skills students. As we have learned throughout this process, many of the state's community colleges have an interest in reforming basic skills, often using existing resources creatively and staff and faculty putting in extra time and effort to implement changes. Many of these efforts are in their infancy, and an infusion of resources through this grant program at the right time can bring a wave of success to California's community colleges. There are some important questions that have to be asked today. The success of this program, I believe, depends heavily on the implementation strategy, that the funds are targeted effectively, and that the right factors are prioritized in the applications. Also, as the state continues to invest in basic skills and other targeted investments, there should be a broader strategy in place. For example, as we strive to increase the number of full-time faculty, there should be an emphasis on full-time faculty that specializes in basic skills instruction. Recognizing that basic skills is the first point of entry to higher education, we must not overlook its importance and ensure that the first experience is not a discouraging one. For many, basic skills is quite literally a make or break test for the educational goals and career aspirations of our young people. With that in mind, I'm very pleased to be able to discuss this issue with you here today, and I want to thank all of you once again for being here.
Okay, thank you. I hope everybody was able to get an agenda for those of you that did not, or for those who are watching from at home. I'll just walk through. We have 4 sections today. First, we're going to have a basic skills overview from our legislative analyst's office. Then we're going to have a panel on statewide perspectives from a few people from across the state and the Community College Chancellor's Office. Then we're going to have a panel on local perspectives. Lastly, we're going to have a panel on the basic skills proposal and the budget, specifically about that. And then lastly, we will have a section on public comment, so people will be able to share their views at the very end. So with that, we're going to start with the first piece, the basic skills overview with Judy Hyman with the Legislative Analyst's Office.
Good morning,
Hi,
Mr.
good
Chair.
morning.
Assemblymember Irwin, distinguished members of the board and district and college leadership and faculty, staff, and students. My name is Judy Hyman. I'm with the Legislative Analyst's Office, and I'm going to provide some background on basic skills education in California and highlight some issues for the members to consider as you hear the presentation today. Page 2 has some background, and there's a handout that's going around, probably not quite as many copies, but some of you will have it. Page 2 has background on the community colleges for your reference. I'll just point out the last checkbox there that mentions that the community colleges are open access institutions. They don't have selective or competitive admissions. Anyone who has a high school diploma or equivalent, or anyone who is 18 or over, may attend a community college. Page 3 has some background on basic skills education. Basic skills courses are pre-college courses in reading, writing, and math, as well as English as a second language, tutoring, learning skills, and study skills courses. Basic skills students may be pursuing various goals. Some may be here to learn specific skills, such as English as a second language or particular job skills, whereas others want to prepare to take college-level courses. Most basic skills courses provide college credit, particularly the reading, writing, and math courses. Now, this is something called non-degree applicable college credit. It doesn't fulfill the requirements for an associate degree. But students can take up to 30 units of these sorts of credits, and these make up 70% of all the basic skills credits, basic skills units taken. The other 30% is in non-credit basic skills, and the majority of those are in English as a second language and tutoring. Now, you'll hear various terms for basic skills: remedial, developmental, foundational, but they all mean the same thing that we call basic skills. Page 4 describes the scope of the basic skills challenge we're facing, and Assemblymember Irwin gave you a look at this. 3/4 of first-time students are assessed as unprepared. That's more than 150,000 entering students each year. And let me say that's more than 150,000 entering degree, certificate, or transfer-seeking students. These are students who want to go on and take the college-level courses, but enter unprepared for those courses. Various factors contribute to this high rate of underpreparation. Many students didn't master these skills during their earlier education. Some students mastered the skills in the past but have forgotten them because they've been out of school for a while, or significantly didn't take math courses in their senior year and are too rusty. And some students may have mastered the skills but not performed well on the assessments because perhaps they didn't realize these were make or break assessments, as you mentioned. Overall, 11% of all community college enrollment is in basic skills courses, and more than half of that is in these English, math, tutoring, and study skills courses that are really the subject of this hearing. One of the reasons these numbers are so concerning is that unprepared students are much less likely to graduate. Fewer than half complete basic skills courses and go on to complete college courses, and even fewer of them actually complete the degree, certificate, or transfer that they're after. Page 5 has some information on basic skills instruction. In the traditional model, students take assessment tests, and then based on the test results, they're placed into a sequence of courses that they must complete before taking college-level courses. For example, a student who starts several levels below in math might have to take arithmetic, pre-algebra, elementary algebra, and intermediate algebra before ever getting to the transfer level classes. The courses tend to focus on attaining specific skills, and they tend to do this through repetitive drills and emphasis on getting the right answers and following the correct procedures. And this approach has a number of shortcomings. The first is that it extends time in school, and another is that the method has been criticized as ineffective. It doesn't necessarily promote conceptual understanding. It doesn't provide interesting, relevant context to help students connect what they're learning in the classroom to the outside world or to their career and educational interests. Fortunately, the community colleges in recent years have developed or adopted a number of innovations in basic skills education. You'll hear about many of those in the second and third panels today. Page 6 just gives you a brief preview of the three main areas of innovation. And these include reforming assessment and placement policies to direct more students to college-level courses more quickly, accelerating progress toward college-level courses through a number of different strategies, and then other major innovations that involve contextualizing basic skills within academic or CTE programs, providing alternative math pathways, and various other national models that are showing promise. The next page describes some of the student support services that are available for basic skills students. A number of services are grouped under the Student Success and Support Program, SSSP, and these include, for new students, orientation, assessment, and education planning, and then for continuing students who are at risk of academic failure, and including basic skills students, some additional support services. Aside from the SSSP services, many colleges also provide student success courses, which they sometimes call How to Do College. And these include topics such as introduction to college expectations, what support services are available, education planning, and then also helping students improve their study skills, their time management, their organizational skills, and helping them develop academic and social support systems. Colleges also provide tutoring and then a more structured type of academic support called supplemental instruction, in which a supplemental instruction leader attends classes and then meets with students as a group outside of class to act as a facilitator and help guide them toward helping each other. The next page shows how the state supports basic skills education. By far, the largest share of state funding for basic skills goes to instruction. The state provides more than $400 million in apportionments for English, math, tutoring, and study skills courses. The Basic Skills Categorical Program is dedicated to improving basic skills outcomes, and one way to think of this program is that this program leverages that $400 million. The program has been funded by at least $20 million a year since 2007-08, and in some years more. 95% of that goes directly to the colleges, 5% is for statewide professional development activities. In addition, in this past year, as Assemblymember Irwin mentioned, the state budget included 2 grant programs, the $60 million Basic Skills and Student Outcomes Transformation Program, and we'll come to that in a moment, and then a $10 million Basic Skills Partnership Pilot Program, which will provide incentive grants to colleges to collaborate with high schools and California State University campuses in the delivery of basic skills instruction. In addition to all that, components of several other categorical programs support basic skills education, and these include the SSSP program, the Student Equity Program, the Institutional Effectiveness Initiative, Awards for Innovation, and several other targeted student support categorical programs such as Extended Opportunity Programs and Services, Puente, Emoja, Disabled Students Programs and Services. All of those have basic skills components. Page 9 provides more detail on the Basic Skills and Student Outcomes Transformation Program. As noted, it's a grant program that seeks to improve student outcomes by changing the basic skills practices at colleges. It requires participating colleges to adopt or expand the use of evidence-based models that will accelerate a student's progress toward two outcomes: completing a college-level English or math course, or both, within a shorter sequence of 3 or fewer courses, and then earning industry-relevant certificates or degrees within 2 years. And the goal is for a progressively increasing share of students to achieve these outcomes within a shorter time period. The grants can be used for curriculum redesign, professional development, release time, data collection and reporting, and colleges are encouraged to collaborate with school districts to improve student preparation. The state identifies 6 evidence-based strategies, which are listed on page 10, that participating colleges must adopt or expand the use of at least 2 of these strategies. Page 11 addresses how students look at how the state looks at the effectiveness of basic skills education. We use 3 common measures: successful completion of those basic skills courses, successful completion of college-level courses for students who started in basic skills courses, and then completion of certificates, degrees, and transfer preparation for those students. The Chancellor's Office provides some excellent data tools that they make available on the website to track these measures. The first tool is the Basic Skills Cohort Tracker. With this tool, you can choose a group of students at a particular college who started 1, 2, 3, or 4 levels below transfer, and see how many of them attempted and how many of them completed the course at that level, and all the subsequent courses up to and including the transfer level course in that same subject. The second tool is the Student Success Scorecard, which provides for each district and statewide a remedial measure, which includes the percent of students who enrolled in a basic skills course and then went on to complete a college-level course in the same subject within 6 years, and a completion measure that looks not at all basic skills students, but at those who are identified as seeking a degree, certificate, or transfer, and then looks at the percent of those who completed that outcome within 6 years. Those results are disaggregated for students who came in prepared and students who came in unprepared. And all of these scorecard measures are also disaggregated by gender, age group, and race ethnicity. So there's some very good information out there. We have some good measures. So how do we look on these measures? If you'll turn to page 12. This figure shows that college-level course completion outcome for students who entered started in a basic skills course and then completed a college-level course within 6 years. You can see there's been some improvement over the last few years, but I don't think anyone would call these success rates satisfactory. Nearly 70% of students taking basic skills math never make it past elementary algebra. It is important to note that there's wide variation across the colleges. The percent of basic skills students who complete a college-level course ranges from a high of 73% in English at one college to a low of 8% in math at another college. In this district, I will note that Moore Park College is in the top 10% of colleges for both the English and math measures. The completion rate for degrees, certificates, and transfer outcomes is not shown in this figure. That figure increased slightly from the 2004-05 cohort to the 2006-07 cohort, but then it has dropped slightly over the last 2 years. And that's true for both college-prepared and unprepared students. The completion rates have declined slightly. That may be largely due to reduced course availability during the recession. That certainly has an effect on students' ability to complete their programs. Regardless, prepared students continue to complete at a far higher rate than unprepared students. 70% for students who come in prepared for college-level work compared to 39% for students who are unprepared. Evaluations of the Basic Skills Initiative reflect some notable successes, but also limited impact. The statewide professional development component, which was initially provided under the Academic Senate for the community colleges, and then under 3CSN, who you'll hear from in the next panel, has provided a wealth of professional development opportunities for faculty and staff. More than half of community colleges have participated in the Basic Skills Initiative's California Acceleration Project to implement accelerated pathways in English, math, or both. And they've had very encouraging results. Dozens of colleges have participated in other projects coordinated or facilitated through the Basic Skills Initiative. So the question is, with all of this activity and some very strong documented successes, why hasn't the needle moved more than you saw on the previous page? And one reason is that some of the early funding for the Basic Skills Initiative supported many small pilots that didn't really bring about institutional change. That's no longer going on so much, but since then, evaluators have noted that it seems colleges have adopted some of the easier changes, like expanding tutoring programs, more so than undertaking the more difficult work of redesigning courses and programs. Even after identifying and piloting some practices that have potentially large impacts on student success, the statewide impacts have been limited by spotty adoption both within individual colleges and across colleges. The last page lists some issues for you to consider as you hear the presentations today. The first point is that changing practices doesn't necessarily require a lot more ongoing funding. It really, after initial implementation costs, it really should include reallocating existing resources from ineffective practices to more effective ones. So if resources are being used to teach a sequence of 2 or 3 remedial classes, they instead could be used to teach a shorter sequence of 1 or 2 classes and have funding left over to provide that additional support as the student transitions into the college level course. Another consideration is that increasing student success rates reduces the cost per outcome, the cost per completion. A second point relates to some of the challenges involved in coordinating multiple initiatives. What can you do to ensure that the many categorical programs that I listed on page 8 supporting basic skills education are working well and in concert? And what roles should the Chancellor's Office, the Board of Governors, the districts, and the colleges have in coordinating these efforts? In particular, how should the Basic Skills Initiative and the Basic Skills and Student Outcomes Transformation Program work together? What's the best balance of central coordination versus local control and flexibility? And then, lastly, how can you best promote large-scale success? As I mentioned, to date, the categorical funding has largely supported a lot of experimentation, pilot programs, and small-scale reforms. How can the state ensure that future spending supports large-scale changes that make a difference for a large number of students? And then finally, should a portion of the Basic Skills Initiative allocation for colleges hinge on improvements in student outcomes as the governor proposes? That concludes my comments. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Before we proceed to the next panel, did you have any questions?
I just
Assemblymember?
had a few questions, and thank you very much, Ms. Hyman. That really sets up the framework for our hearing today. I wanted to know how long do you think it will take before the legislature will see the effects of this transformation program? How many years would we be talking about?
So the request for applications was just released and will be due in March. I think the funding will get out very close to the end of this fiscal year. So in effect, next fiscal year will be the first year of implementation. I think that's a good question for some of the other panels with faculty who work on developing those programs. But currently, the measures that we have in place are really 6-year measures. Do we really want to wait 6 years to know if this is working? I would think that the legislature might want to look at some shorter measures to get an indication sooner. How many students are completing these basic skills courses in 2 years and 3 years. So I think within that time frame, it's fair to ask the community college system for results, understanding that these are different measures, the numbers aren't going to line up, but we can start to see if if the rates are going up in those shorter time frames.
And kind of along those lines, what should the legislature's role be in holding the schools accountable and making sure that the money is being spent the right way?
That's a question for your discretion, but I would certainly encourage the legislature to provide significant oversight for this program, particularly because we do have a history of seeing basic skills initiatives not provide the payoff that was hoped for. We have some very promising pilot results and even medium-scale results. So we know it's possible to scale many of these practices, and I would encourage you to provide pretty significant oversight for these programs.
Thank you. Before we get there, you know, this is somewhat like a lab that we're doing. It's a science project, and there's 60 awards, right? So that's, you know, 1 and 2 of the campuses would be able to potentially participate. So if we were to, and we'll get into this in a little bit, but if you were to expand that in the next few years, you have any recommendations on how you could do some interim, like you said, we don't want to wait 6 years, some interim markers to see how the first round's going out and how long it would take to see if you wanted to maybe do a little bit more?
Yes. So first, it may be as few as 40 colleges that participate because the grants
True.
can be up to 1.5 million.
correct.
So it could be closer to a third than half. But I think the measures that are in place, the 6-year measures, could be looked at shorter time periods. I don't think the metrics need to change, just the time period over which you're looking at them. So we can look at basic skills course completion measures much more real time, and that's a good thing, and that's something that we can monitor very easily. But then looking at the achievement of the college level course, I think it's fair to look at that over a 1-year, 2-year, 3-year period.
Okay, thank you. With that, we'll try to move on with our agenda here. So we'll bring up our panel on statewide perspectives. Thank you again, Judy. We'll have Pamela Walker from the Chancellor's Office, Vice Chancellor of Education Services, Deborah Harrington from the California Community College Success Network, Janet Folks, a faculty member at Bakersfield College and a member of the Academic Senate for the California Community Colleges, Teresa Tenna, Vice Chancellor of Institutional Effectiveness Divisions at the California Community Colleges Division, and Michelle Siqueiros, President of the Campaign for College Opportunity. Thank you. ARC. Nice. Tight fit over there. Yes, do you all have the list, how we're going to run down? Okay, so we're going to start with Pamela Walker.
Chairman McCarty, Assembly Member Irwin, Chancellor Luskin, board members, students, colleagues, and community. The basic skills student is one who enters college at least one course below college level English, math, or English as a second language, the ESL programs. And you have heard already and will hear today that as many as 70% of our community college students are unprepared for college level coursework in English, and as many as 90% are unprepared for college level work in mathematics, of course, according to the Student Success Task Force of 2012. Students who enter college unprepared for the rigors of college-level coursework are 30+ less likely to achieve successful outcomes, such as earning a degree, a certificate, or transferring to a four-year college or university. The Chancellor's Office has led numerous efforts in support of developing programs for underprepared students, even before the Basic Skills Initiative became a reality in 2006. However, it was Assembly Bill 194 that created and identified categories of expenditures and guidelines for those expenditures. A collaboration of many led some to indicate that the Basic Skills Initiative may have been one of the most successful projects of that time because faculty, the Academic Senate, the Chancellor's Office, and legislators realized the ongoing struggle to better serve our students and develop practices and provided statewide and fiscal support for that process. Through the BSI endorsement, colleges learned about innovation and educational strategies and developed resources with which colleges could learn about best practices in basic skills education. The development of the report, The Basic Skills Foundation for Student Success in California Community College, was lovingly known as the Poppy Copy because it had a poppy, it had a colored poppy on the front, reviewed significant studies and identified 26 effective practices in 4 broad categories. During that same time, the system has used conferences and workshops and publications such as the Basic Skills as a Foundation, Basic Skills Handbook, and Basic Skills Completion e-resource to ensure the spread of effective practices between colleges. The Chancellor's Office Basic Skills Completion provided a comprehensive list of support services available to colleges administrators and some of the specific practices that colleges have adopted to improve success. And the Community College Success Network, known as 3CSN, we'll hear from in just a moment, is a Chancellor's Office grant-funded professional development opportunity encouraging new ways of thinking regarding basic skills instruction through the sharing of what works and collaboration, what doesn't work, and to implement those effective practices. So since 2008, that academic year, the state of California has made a significant monetary investment attempting to improve student success through the collaborative work in BSI. And we have seen some progress in these ongoing efforts to teach our students, and the current BSI funds are allocated with a guaranteed minimum level of funding. But now we are pleased to further enhance basic skills funding through the Community College Basic Skills and Students Outcome Transformation Program, passed in 2015-16. And I would say to you that we have been trying to transform our colleges since 2006. There have been a significant amount of work that maybe you can't have a transformation until you had a transformation in trying to discuss and work and dialogue and teach in these areas. But this additional $60 million for colleges to adopt and expand the use of evidence-based models of academic assessment and placement, remediation, and student support that accelerates the progress of underrepresented or underprepared students toward achieving their post-secondary education and career goals is transformational. Educating our basic skills students is a complete campus endeavor. It just doesn't happen in an English or math or an ESL classroom. It's not just it's just not an instructional issue. Thus, at the Chancellor's Office, we began this year by combining the work of academic affairs and an institutional effectiveness to leverage resources with the existing Basic Skills Fund to support adoption and scalability of effective data-proven strategies to continue to improve the student outcomes in basic skills. Perhaps also we should talk about the combining work that we are trying to do with academic affairs and student services. Since we're trying to get the colleges to develop these synergistic relationships between instruction and student services, we could model that collaboration also as we look at ways we do that at the Chancellor's office. So just as a couple of other points on expanding the opportunities and the new leaders in basic skills, the work of my colleagues at 3CSN, I have had the great opportunity to sit in on some of their workshops, and I wasn't a basic skills faculty member. But I have learned myself some of the energized work that they're doing with colleagues who came to the community college system as faculty in a variety of disciplines, not necessarily always thinking that they would teach basic skills. But as they started to develop new ways of thinking and the modeling that goes on with 3CSN, they started to look at ways that they could become basic skills faculty member, even though their master's degree was in English writing or reading. So we're doing some very significant work from the ground up to get us to this place today.
Good morning. Let me bring that a little bit closer. Is that okay? Can you hear? All right. One of the most powerful features of the BSI, Basic Skills Initiative, has been the unique way it supports innovation. By providing every college with seed money, it motivated action. By requiring that colleges try new approaches to supporting basic skills students, it demanded innovation, and by including annual reporting on results, it guaranteed that the changes made a real difference. Providing a budget and a statewide infrastructure to support the work, BSI helped assure that basic skills success was the concern not just of a few English and math teachers, but a responsibility of the whole college. Basic skills moved from the margins to the center and prompted discussions about student success and completion more broadly and regularly. But there was one more feature of the BSI grant that has especially contributed to its transformational power, and that is the set-aside for professional learning. For the last 7 years, the California Community Colleges Success Network, 3CSN, has been responsible for providing the professional learning support that colleges need to launch and sustain innovative practices. And we have been successful because we have taken a two-pronged approach that focuses on both teachers' individual practice and programmatic change. When the Poppy Copy was first released, it was filled with ideas for effective practices, a very useful resource. But it's one thing to read about a program in place at another college, and it's another to make something happen in your own institution and in your own classroom. Every campus created some kind of basic skills coordinator position, but those brand new coordinators did not have a model for how to fulfill their role. 3CSN helped these leaders, long on passion for the cause, but not always experienced with creating and sustaining initiatives, develop the skills they need. 3CSN was designed so that educators could learn about how effective practices worked and get ongoing support to make the innovations happen. The Poppy Copy recognized that we best serve students when we work together, across instruction and student services, across disciplines. But at the time, this approach was not the norm at other colleges and at most colleges. 3CSN fosters this kind of collaboration necessary for change and connects educators to each other through regional networks and a host of learning opportunities, from one-day workshops to year-long institutes, that make the process of innovation within classrooms and programs transparent. When educators enter the network, they become part of a whole community of committed innovators, and they help each other learn how to put those effective practices to work on their campuses and across their districts. They also tap into a whole new way of understanding and serving our students who have been designated basic skills. 3CSN brings a strength-based approach to innovation by focusing on practices such as reading apprenticeship, habits of mind or growth mindset, and acceleration that help educators recognize and build upon student capacity. This kind of educator transformation and focus on results for students has led to systemic transformation as we rethink the ways we assess and label students in the first place. And I think that Mr. McCarty was referencing this in many ways. We recognize that the system has designated 75% of students unprepared for college, but perhaps we have just been unprepared for our students. BSI and 3CSN have helped us to better better prepared to effectively serve them. So, when Pasadena City College began to design their first-year experience program, they had already learned deeply about reading apprenticeship practices, technology-assisted learning, embedded tutoring, math bridge programs by engaging with our professional development at 3CSN. When they first sent a team to the BSI Leadership Institute, they worked on developing a first-year experience program that included a new college, a class called College One. It's one of those student success courses. When they returned the following year, they were building the professional learning program they needed on campus to train the more than 60 teachers from across disciplines who would be teaching the new course so that students would experience a consistently rigorous and productive experience in the class and the Pathway program as a whole. In just 3 years, Pathways scaled to serve more than 2,500 students. And for those who participated, achievement gaps were nearly erased. Before a team from Fullerton College first participated in 3CSN's acceleration project, Fullerton educators had already attended multiple 3CSN professional learning workshops, and they participated regularly in their regional network. Leadership training at the Summer Institute and engagement with other year-long institutes are what provided Fullerton educators the skills they needed to scale their accelerated English curriculum to 19 sections per semester, serving over 1,000 students in 2015. The most recent data from Fullerton shows that 59% of students who took the Accelerated Developmental English course in 14-15 completed college writing in just 1 year. For the regular developmental sequence, completion rates of college writing were considerably lower, even within 3 years. But this is not the only success at Fullerton supported by the BSI. They have also implemented a campus-wide Habits of Mind initiative that has included a growth mindset intervention that has so far served 1,800 students. They have a supplemental instruction program that supports 120 sections that's supported by BSI, reaching over 4,000 students, and a first-year experience program that now includes close to 700 students. These programs all began with BSI funds and taken together reach over 7,500 students. Fullerton's multi-pronged work on student success, which was initiated with BSI, has resulted in Fullerton becoming one of the 150 colleges eligible to be considered for the Aspen Award for Excellence in Community Colleges. In fact, this year saw more Aspen eligible colleges from California than ever before, clear evidence that student outcomes are improving statewide. At American River College, which is Kirsten Corbin and Pam Walker's home campus, Kirsten began at the as the BSI coordinator and participated in the first Summer Leadership Institute we conducted. Her college went on to be an early adopter of Carnegie's Statway, and that's helping prepare developmental math students for dramatically increased rates of success in college statistics classes. In fact, for the recent year, 85% of students in the Pathway, the Statway program, completed college-level math. That's a 400% increase in college math completion for African American students and a 500% increase for Latino students compared to results for those groups in the traditional sequence. American River educators have been regular participants. You know, they also have a campus-wide reading apprenticeship initiative. And while I just want to say that while we have chosen to feature a few colleges to illustrate the reach of BSI-supported transformation, there are many more we might have celebrated. Santa Barbara City College was the Aspen Award winner, and they were recognized for their Partnership for Student Success tutoring program and Express to Success Accelerated Learning Community program, which BSI funds allowed them to expand considerably. BSI-supported programs at LA Pierce College include a Go Days Early Start program that serves well over 1,000 students. At Pierce, they have 2 different math completion interventions, both focused on getting people within a year to complete. One's called ASAP, it's homegrown, and that earned the State Chancellor's Student Success Award. It serves over 1,600 students annually, and a Statway project that serves nearly 1,400 students. So this kind of immersive experience in the network, learning the innovations with us, and also helping us learn from them and spread to other colleges, has really helped innovation flourish throughout the state. Some folks who were inexperienced BSI coordinators or faculty wondering what they could do to improve success in their basic skills classrooms are now our leaders in the field. They are asked to come here in hearings like this and across the country to present our work. 3CSN has reached nearly 22,000 educators statewide. As of 2015, all 113 community colleges have engaged with us in some way. Our network approach has been so effective that it has served as a model for other organizations looking to foster education reform. The Helmsley Foundation wanted to impact STEM education, so they worked with WestEd and 3CSN to foster a network of STEM faculty using reading apprenticeship to foster deeper science learning. And our Summer Leadership Institute for 3CSN was a finalist for the National Bellwether Award. Our California Acceleration Project has been recognized with honors and additional support from outside funders. We have been asked by multiple systems across the country to help them understand how to create the infrastructure for similar learning networks dedicated to transforming student access, success, and equity. Among them, Washington State is currently working closely with us to create a STEM learning network modeled after ours, and the American Association of Colleges and Universities modeled their National Faculty Collaboratives project on our network approach. When 3CSN surveyed all of our past Leadership Institute participants about how their engagement in Leadership Institute had impacted them as educators, we were not surprised to hear that for many, the experience galvanized them to become leaders on their own campuses and throughout the state. They became BSI coordinators, staff development coordinators, department chairs, new faculty trainers, deans, even VPs, list goes on. The leadership trajectory of participants in BSI and in the network demonstrates that we are changing the face of our colleges across the state through this project. And it touches everything. The leadership that BSI fostered and 3CSN nurtured has transformed our institutions from the inside out. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Janet Folks. I'm representing the Academic Senate for California Community Colleges, and I'm going to get a little bit granular on some of the data that we're looking at and on what was reported. In 2006, I was part of the Senate when we were looking at how many students were really placed into basic skills, and believe it or not, at that time, we didn't even know what basic skills classes were. Every single college had a different definition. Every college had different levels. Every placement was different out of the 112 existing colleges then. And when we were able to at least grasp that somewhere around 75% needed to be in a course that was below college level, we weren't talking about an annual number, because built up in our colleges were years and years of students that required that kind of skills development. And so actually, while the numbers that were quoted are around 150,000, we're really looking at millions of students that have been part of our colleges and that we needed to address. So the Basic Skills Grant was developed. It was fantastic, a collaborative effort. And I want to make it very clear that it was based on our strategic plan. So this wasn't something that zoomed in from another planet. It was something that was really very well thought out, and it had to do with this two-prong approach where we gave more money to schools and we gave money to train people to know what to do. You saw some of the scorecard data, and I've got it up here, and I know some of you, maybe some of the students even, their eyes roll in the back of their head when they see all these numbers up there, but I wanted to point something out. If you look up here at our numbers for the last several years, you'll see that the student progress and achievement overall is pretty much flat or going down. That's overall. And one of the great advantages of the scorecard over the old ARC is that we separated the students that were underprepared and their success rates from the students that were prepared. So when I go out and speak to my local high schools, I have 42 of them from my college, I explain to them that really we need to attack this by getting them in prepared, because they have 3 times the rate of success. We just need to be able to look at the entire pipeline. And then when you look down here at the remedial education rates, I want you to see that those remedial classes are the ones that have improved. And I know that in the paper that was provided, they said that it was, a modest improvement. Remember, we're talking millions of students. We're talking so many students that when you increase that by 1%, you don't even have to do a statistical analysis. It's going to be significant. It is affecting a lot of people. So English was raised by 1.7%, math by 2.7%, and ESL by 4%. And that is really significant. But what are we doing now? What are we going to do? What have we learned? We've moved it a little bit. Can we move the dial more now? And we know that we can. In fact, the California community colleges, we are nationally on the cutting edge of every basic skills effort that's out there. Our data, because we organized it back in 2008 from the Chancellor's office, this database represents the most massive and accurate database to move forward to help students increase their success. But what we're looking at now is, in California especially, we need to disaggregate that data. We need to look at equity. We have been helping some students in a way. I'm sorry, you guys, but I'm a very honest person. It worries me when they say these colleges are in the top 10%, because they may be, but when you look at their student population, those students came from different high schools, and they came from different families. And in California, we've got a wide swath of students that come to us, and we need to serve them all and serve them well. So we need to disaggregate the data. We need to re-examine our curriculum. We did a thing called CB21 where we got all 112 schools together. We looked at every remedial course and we said, what should they come out with at the end of this course? What levels do we have? Some schools had 12 levels that they were teaching below college. And we reduced that, and that allowed us to get the basic skills trackers so that we can compare ourselves statewide to how well students are progressing. We need to look at our placement. This is one area where my college, and I'm on the multiple measures work group for the state, it's shocking. There are things that we've done that I think, unfortunately, rise to the level of educational malpractice. Not that we did it on purpose, but because we were driven there. And so I'm going to be honest again, sometimes it was because of legislative pressure, where, for instance, in the K through 12s, we measured kids on their annual test scores instead of looking at many variables that told us how well they were doing. And now we're looking at something better than just looking at those darn placement scores. I'm looking out at the students, and I'm guessing when you guys took the assessment test, you didn't even really know how significant it was going to be. You probably didn't study. There were things that were on the test from the 8th grade, and we were putting you into a class costing you a year because of the way that you performed on that one test. We need to do better than that. We know that. That's our responsibility. We also know that as we're looking forward, we can combine all of these new things that we've learned from the previous BSI money and put it to much better work with this additional new grant. So I'm going to give you some granular data so that you can see the 6-year data from the scorecard that was shared. If you take and look at the basic skills tracker for my college, which is Bakersfield College, and it's a lot like Oxnard College, and you look at the 3 years that were the first part of that 6-year cohort and compare it to the 3 years that are the second part of that 3-year cohort. And I want to remind you, the scorecard cohort started in 2008. So where were you then? The students were maybe in high school or maybe not. And at my college, we had 4 or 5 presidents between the time that started and right now. So there were a lot of changes. But the black line right there represents in English the success rate of our basic skills students in each of those levels below transfer. And the red line equals the last 3 years of that 6-year cohort. So what you're seeing is that as we build momentum, critical mass, we understand the issues better, we are really able to raise those success rates. And shorter terms are much better to look at as far as being able to respond to the success or lack of success. However, I know initially, because I was on that committee too, we picked a 6-year, I'm going to speak to the legislature, we picked a 6-year term because we were afraid it would be performance-based funding. And if we went up and down, which we do with the economy and different things, we'd get the funding one year, not get it the next, get the funding. So the 6-year cohort allowed us a bit of stability. I don't think we need that now, Pam, but I think we need to look at shorter terms, but I just want to explain that's why we look at it, and it's outdated. This is our math success. The CB21 and the data that was shared, do you remember that the last 2 years of that scorecard cohort flattened out? Guess what? That was the year that we changed the graduation requirements because we weren't about to attack basic skills and lower our standards. So we raised the graduation level for math and for English. Some schools already had them at a higher level, but that is really that significant flattening out that you see. It was just saying, well, you can't go on until you complete intermediate algebra as well. And if you look at that, at my school anyway, if you look at our math, 2 levels below, we've almost doubled the success rate. We're not so great at 3 levels below. Overall, we've increased a little bit. But I'm going to tell you the same thing I tell my high schools I talk to. That's pathetic. I don't want to live with that rate. I don't want to own that rate. And California is not going to be successful if that's the rate of math success that we've got. So Bakersfield College has implemented multiple measures. We're in our 3rd year. We've implemented the acceleration and compressed classes. And in fall alone, we saved 2,111 student semesters for just our brand new entering students in this fall. You might be worried, as some may be, that if you use multiple measures and you place students based primarily upon GPA, which is what we're doing, using the test only to benefit them but not to hurt them, that you might actually hurt the students. You might place them higher than they can be successful at. The research shows that there is nothing worse you can do than place them with the test results. They are completely inaccurate. Far more accurate is their high school GPA, which is not inflated, which is the result of many, many teachers, lots of work, and many variables. So this is the data I just cut. I shared it with our college council this morning on the way here in the car, and we're so excited about it. We placed students in 2014 using multiple measures where we looked at their GPA and we also looked at their test, and we moved them up to classes. And so in the gray, you can see that was our first year using the multiple measures, and this is each one of our math classes, and beginning right here is the graduation requirement. Moving over here, these are transfer level classes. Last year, so the fall students, these are the success rates that we're getting. The gold bars, they're pretty doggone amazing. The red is what everybody else gets that has been at the school, maybe some, unfortunately, for 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 years. But that gold bar represents a new and better way to do things, a new and better way to attack math, and to help students get completed in things. Just so that you see that it all does add up, this is also a 3-year cohort from our school, and I'm really excited to just say that if we look at that 3-year cohort and then the next 3-year cohort as far as getting through English Gateway and Math Gateway courses, we have significantly increased it, and if you disaggregate it, we are beginning to mitigate some of the differences in the ethnicity. We still have challenges. Oh my goodness, we still need to get those African American students in our community a little bit more help to get through the Gateway math class. But this is not something that just happened this year. This was the result of that BSI grant that's happened over those many years.
Alrighty, my name's Teresa Tennant, and I'm Vice Chancellor of Institutional Effectiveness at the Chancellor's Office, and I want to talk a little bit about this new initiative that was funded by the legislature. It was part of the 2014-15 budget package, and as I think you get a sense, there's quite a bit of transformational change that is going on within the state at this level in terms of so many of the initiatives that are in play. This initiative is helping to make the community colleges the most effective system of higher education in the world. Our focus is on eliminating accreditation sanctions and audit findings and enhancing success and equity of our students. And I think the thing also to underscore is that this is an initiative that's committed to promoting evidence-based decision-making. As well, this is an initiative in which the Chancellor's Office has always had a focus on compliance, but we are increasing our focus and outreach on technical assistance and professional development, the things that 3CSN is actually talking about in terms of providing that robust infrastructure to support change. The initiative is very focused on setting goals, measuring progress, and adjusting along the way, fostering a climate which promotes innovation and encourages colleges to challenge themselves by setting realistic, measurable, and attainable goals. As well, we're not set up to punish institutions if they don't meet those goals. I think the most important aspect of our initiative is that we're trying to have changes implemented and measured and encourage innovation. This initiative was anchored in the Student Success Task Force recommendations, recommendations 7.1 and 7.2, specifically articulated a need for a stronger chancellor's office. And to that end, this initiative is coordinating the development of an indicator and goal-setting framework for colleges. It's identifying effective practices. It's providing technical assistance and professional development to help colleges achieve their success goals. And we're looking to partner with as many existing initiatives and activities that are going on right now in the state. Certainly 3CSN is a perfect example of a partner that institutional effectiveness will be working with. As well, the Student Success Task Force recommendations specifically called upon the system to promote more effective professional development resources. And so, the recommendations 6.1 and 6.2 identified a need for enhanced professional development opportunities for faculty, staff, and administrators, improved use of professional development resources to spur improvements in basic skills. As well, just to kind of highlight and underscore the Institutional Effectiveness Partnership Initiative, their major components, we're trying to create sequenced, coordinated, comprehensive means of delivering technical assistance within the system. As has been articulated, we're a very large system. I mean, we have 113 colleges, all located throughout the state, millions of students, and a significant number of staff, administrators, faculty, classified. In terms of the coordination activities, it's very daunting. And so this is an initiative that's trying to connect all the dots. It facilitates and supports professional learning, peer collaboration, and the sharing and adoption of effective practices across the system. And to date, as I think it was articulated on the first slide, this initiative was funded in year one in the 2014-15 budget. We're only a year old, but already we've been very actively promoting the provision of professional development resources. We've put on workshops, summits, institutes, over 2,100 attendees. Our topics range from the Student Success Redefined, Enrollment Management, Diversity in Hiring, Inmate Education Summit, to integrated planning. We're also going to be putting on some basic skills transformational workshops in support of the RFA that just went out implementing the allocation of the $60 million. We're going to be holding four day-long regional workshops throughout the state. There will be in all over the state. The first one is actually next week. It's going to be in the Central Valley in Clovis. Then we'll be in Southern California at Costa Mesa, in Northern California in Oakland, and in Southern California again in Riverside. And these workshops are designed to help colleges identify evidence-based practices for inclusion in their funding application. And as well, the components of the workshop, they'll cover the high impact strategies listed in SB 81, which is the Basic Skills Transformational Program. The workshops will feature more than a dozen California Community College practices with data to support their effectiveness. And once the grants are awarded, the Institutional Effectiveness Partnership Initiative intends to assist colleges with their plan implementation. So just wanted to give a bit of a highlight from kind of the Chancellor's Office. I'm going to pass it over to Michelle.
So since I'm the fourth person, you'll all be happy to know that I just crossed off a full page of talking points.
You're the fifth.
Fifth, that's right. I can't count, apparently, either. Assemblyman McCarty, thank you for hosting us, and thank you for your leadership and sharing your own story of coming into the community college, the important role it played, and really the grit that you had to have and the luck that you got with a professor allowing you take a class instead of putting you several levels below. And Assemblymember Irwin, your leadership on this issue has been phenomenal. I think you know how important this issue is. You know, sometimes the UC garners the front page of the news on a regular basis, and I always tell folks, if we really care about educating the future of California, if we care about ensuring greater equity and ensuring that students of color and low-income students get a college degree, there's no segment more important to the state than community colleges. So to all the faculty and leadership that dedicate your life and sweat and tears to this work, really thank you to each of you for that. You know, I'm going to just share some highlights. You've gotten a really great overview of some of the data. But you know, the promise of community college cannot be just access. And I think that there's now resounding kind of agreement that without success, without students earning a degree or certificate or getting the skills they need to improve their life, without ensuring that more students can transfer, then we have not done enough. That the promise has to be the promise of success for students, and obviously remediation and fixing what's happening in our remedial courses becomes the #1 priority, in my opinion. You know, college success shouldn't be, you know, winning a lottery ticket. And in fact, that's what it is for a lot of students who enter who didn't get to prepare for a test. I'm pretty sure, and without any offense to anybody here, that if I handed out the assessment test right now and asked you to complete it, very few of you would pass it. And I don't doubt that all of you are actually capable of passing it. So I think we have to be very mindful of what we put students through, the hurdles we make them jump without providing them with adequate support, and really focus on what, I loved what Deborah Harrington had to say, that maybe we have been unprepared for our students, and how do we do that differently? You know, as the daughter of a seamstress with only a 6th grade education, I know firsthand what it meant to go to college and to have the opportunity and the supports to be successful. And I always tell folks, maybe I walked across that graduation stage and got that degree, but certainly I was not there by myself. I would not have gotten there had folks not tutored me, counseled me, directed me in the right fashion, given me financial aid, including Cal Grant and subsidized student loans. You know, I am here because public policy worked, because folks work to support my work, and so that's why I'm so passionate about the role that the state can play in either creating greater success and opportunity for our students or less. You know, there are so many bright spots in California. Deborah and Janet, you listed several of them. There's so much great stuff that's happening that works, and yet both of you said something, use the word non-traditional. These are non-traditional courses, and yet we know they work. So why aren't they the traditional course? And I think that's our frustration. You know, the Campaign for College Opportunity is focused on a single thing, which is how do we ensure more Californians get to go to college and that once they get there, they complete? And how do we close the gaps for students of color? Because if you look at the state of California and the future of it, whether you're Latino or not, whether you're Black, whether you're Asian, whether you're white, you have to care about the success of everybody in this state. Because whatever color we are, the workforce of California is going to either produce prepared workers that help strengthen our economy or not. And community colleges are absolutely the vehicle to get us there. A few concerns that we have about the challenges facing remedial education and about the excitement around, obviously, the $60 million budget allocation is whether or not they're going to help scale, whether or not they're going to help ensure that these do become the traditional courses. You know, we are very well aware that it can't just be the legislature and advocates like us pushing these reforms. It has to be faculty and leadership at every single college that are bought in and that get the tools and resources they need, the professional development and support that is required, not just to read a best practice, but to figure out how do they implement it in their campus. And that can't happen without resources and without leadership that dedicates and reallocates resources. One thing we don't talk a lot about is, you know, we have resources. We never stop doing things that don't work sometimes. And I think there has to be real honest conversations at every single campus about, if the traditional way you are approaching something is still producing, 18%, 25%, 35%, or even 40% on the high end outcomes of success, that is not enough. When more than half of our students don't earn and move forward and reach their college dreams, we should be upset about that, and we should be ready to do something about it, and we should have more urgency about doing something about it. In the RFA that the Community College Chancellor's Office put out for colleges, and we are, stand by to support and help advocate for a lot of colleges to apply for these funds. We do have some concerns around the language, because the language and the budget allocation was very specific about ensuring that we scaled practices that work. And there is language that states colleges must propose to implement 2 or more interventions within or between the areas listed. We were really left scratching our heads as to what that actually means. Further in the application, the Chancellor's Office encourages innovation within the high-impact strategies outlined, as well as the implementation of promising evidence-based interventions not yet introduced in California. And we have a major concern about that, because that has been what the Basic Skills Initiative has been. This effort was really about allocating money to scale the things that we already know work. And so if we're giving that kind of broad flexibility, then how can we get to scale the things that we already know work? Or could we simply be doing more of the same? In our opinion, this will require a lot of oversight from the legislature and Department of Finance, and certainly leadership amongst college presidents, chancellors, and the Chancellor's Office at the statewide level. But we really do have an opportunity, a ground campaign to hopefully garner a lot of buy-in and support to ensure that students succeed, and that this additional resource really provides the kind of support that we know our campuses have needed for a long time. I was just earlier, as one of the panelists was talking, I was doing some rough math in here, and I wanted to just share an example of just the scale. If we just looked at 1 million students in the community college system, and we say about 80% of those million need remediation, that's 800,000. About 40% might pass those remedial classes, that's 320,000. A comment was said, well, if we make a 1% gain, that's really a big deal. It is. That would be 328,000 instead of 320,000. So that's 8,000 students really affected and implemented. But I look at the other number, which is almost 500,000 students who didn't pass, who didn't succeed. And we're looking at numbers over 6 years. And I don't think students walk in the door at Oxnard or any other college and think, in 6 years, maybe I'll get something. So I end with that because I think we have to feel the urgency, as if it were our own child walking in that door, who we know, in today's economy, a high school diploma is simply not enough. So what are we all going to do to really feel that urgency, as if those 500,000 students are our own children? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for that statewide perspective and overview. I have a couple of questions, and I know my colleague does, and we'll get to the next panel. First of all, Michelle, thank you for working on this issue. I know that you were a partner, your organization, with the Assembly member on the legislation, but for you all pushing this, we probably wouldn't be here today and having this in the state budget. I know that the governor was inspired by the approach and put in the budget, and so we were able to make it happen. So I wanted to ask, I've heard the concern that the campaign has made, and frankly others, as far as this is great, but we have 2 million people in this system, a lot at stake, and if we want to get the 1 million more graduates per year, or by 2025, we need to really ramp up people getting through the higher education system. And so this is a critical piece to making that happen. And so I wondered if we can have the community colleges, either Pam or Teresa, basically respond to that question, to that concern, as far as the RFA and what we're really doing to make sure the scale works to affect the masses in the system.
I would just say that, I think it's been demonstrated, certainly at the state level, there's a significant amount of interest and support in trying to transform, this particular issue. I mean, the resources that have been provided with the Institutional Effectiveness Partnership Initiative, recent infusions of resources to 3CSN, I think this is certainly something that is a step in that right direction. As well, the investment, I know we're going to talk about later in the panel, in terms of the ongoing resources for basic skills are all going to help support in that direction. And I think as well, I certainly appreciate the concerns outlined by the campaign related to the one aspect in the RFA, but I think, it does articulate, it's an evidence-based strategy, and it's certainly not something that, we would be providing, an elevated amount of, weighting, unless it was an evidence-based strategy. So I would just make those comments, and Pam, if you have any.
Just a couple of things. We took this RFA and we let everybody look at it. Basic skills advisory committees, the chief instruction officers, chief student services officers. We did what we do really well in this participatory governance structure to try to make sure that we did what we thought the colleges would really need to look at changing, doing some interventions differently and scaling up. If we've missed something along the way, we can potentially look at how we score and what we do. But even some of our colleges have said what they're doing in New York might be something my college could do. We are not doing it here, so we looked at where we could look at promising strategies as where someplace else. One of the things that happened in trying to get this particular RFA out at an appropriate time was not to make it go fast. Because if we made it go fast, we would probably just be doing the same old, same old, same old. We made them think a lot, maybe too much, but we made them think a lot about how this would work, and we really forced a conversation and are continuing to force a conversation with student services and instruction so that student success phenomena can happen as well. So we'll take all the points of reference and try to keep looking at, how people can frame the information that they need to get back to us. And I think Paul Steenhausen has put together some very fine conversations with really good faculty to figure out how you frame this with teams of people. So it wasn't just a couple of faculty sitting in a corner saying, let's do this. It was really dealing with how do we collaborate on something that we all feel significantly fortunate to have. As a former college administrator on a campus, I was like doing this because I could see scaling up something called Statway. And I could see instead of 40 students getting through it, there could be 10 sections of Statway. And sitting on the National Statway Committee on Wednesday, I'm going to keep saying that, get out and talk to people so you can see if there's a new way to do math. So we'll take every point of reference we can and keep nudging it. I think there's not a person in this room that's not works on our campuses that don't see an urgency in this and don't feel blessed by the opportunity to have the resources to do this.
Okay. Assemblymember Irwin?
Yeah, I was happy to hear about the workshops that you're going to be doing. What other ways are you reaching out to faculty? There is a relatively short time frame. So faculty and administration, how are you reaching out to the other colleges?
Well, that call out in terms of the workshops has gone far and wide, and we're encouraging, certainly faculty, administrators, but teams of individuals from the institution to attend. We recognize that what will likely happen is, they will come, they will hear about these very diverse practices and approaches, and I think that as well they'll work in teams to think about how these could be brought back to their institutions, because every institution is different. And so, what we're going to be doing is laying out kind of the most effective evidence-based strategies, and we'll hope that then they'll take that back and think about that as they prepare their applications and make it more competitive. But, we certainly, on the scale of, what it is that we're trying to do, we've never done this before. I mean, putting out workshops in coordination with an RFA is something that, this is the first time we've ever done that. So, we're very hopeful that, from this process, the applicants will be successful, and then we will actually help them to implement on their plans to ensure that we're getting the outcomes that we're looking for.
We're also having workshops specifically on things that we already know work. So we have a big one at College of the Canyons that's really going to look at placement reform, because always remember about placement tests, what they accurately measure are your ability to take a test, not your ability to succeed in that subject matter. So we're going to be talking about that, designing acceleration. So much more specifically, here's how you can design the intervention. In the LA region, which is a pretty large swath, we're working very directly to set up 2 meetings to actually have colleges come in and see if they can find similar things they want to work on, that we will help them craft the modules that can go into the proposals and set up how would we measure that, how could we use the existing tools to see if they're going to move the needle.
And I just want to add, this week alone, I received 5 emails about the RFA. 2 from Pam's office, 1 from 3CSN, 2 from the Senate. And the Senate already 2 weeks ago did an Instructional Design Institute. So in my experience, 22 years, and Pam's had more, and I don't know how many Deb's had.
30.
30.
This is a network, yeah,
I
it's
can
working.
guarantee you, I've never seen an RFA with this kind of public blast going out.
Yeah.
Okay, well, actually, I'm really glad to hear that. And we do, I mean, in some ways, we hope that the money is taken up right away and that we can go back and ask for more in the budget. So can you talk about a little bit about the role of faculty? Do you envision full-time faculty being completely committed to basic skills, or is it going to be part of their workload? Are you working with faculty as you develop these guidelines? Is it going to be different at every community college? What is the role there?
Let me just do one thing. Faculty is the role of everything we do around instruction. So I'd like to say I have a big part. I pushed the button to get the RFA out, but it really is the significance of what the faculty do in the classroom. That's what turns on the light of education. And I hope as an administrator, both at the state level and formally, that I could find the resources to allow them to do the work they do. So these 2 faculty members will tell us much more about what faculty do, but I always believe that if they had an idea and I could find the resources for that idea, and together we could make education magic sometimes, which would extend opportunities for people. Because I dropped out of college twice before somebody said, here is a way to do it. And years later, I went back to the little place that they said, you're the least likely to be successful of a graduating class of 36. So I make them call me Dr. Walker now. So it's that faculty member that turned the light on, and I think these 2 can say exactly what they do.
Well, I mean, I think a really good illustration is, let's not forget that what we're talking about to have this happen is not just going to be basic skills faculty. It is the gen ed faculty. So we're going to be looking very carefully about contextualizing and actually seeing if we can skip a sequence altogether, if we can bring the instruction that they need just in time, whether it's a CTE pathway or a gen ed pathway. That's what we're going to look at. And I want you to look, one of our foremost basic skills experts in the country and in this state, she's a biology professor, so right here.
Because ultimately the success depends on faculty buy-in.
And ownership. It's
And
not
ownership, yeah.
buy-in. They have to own it and lead it, I think.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the participation. We'll now go to our next panel on local perspectives. Thank you. We have Summer Serpes, Associate Professor of English and a Basic Skills Coordinator at Irvine Valley College. We have Olivia Light, a San Diego Miramar College Student Trustee, Associated Students Council President, Region 10 of Governance and Internal Policy Senator, and a Student Success Peer. We have Marlene Dean, a Professor of Mathematics and a Lead Instructor for Transitional Mathematics here at Oxnard College. And lastly, we have Dr. Luis Gonzalez, the Assistant Dean of Transitional Studies and Academic Support and Library Services, also here from Oxnard College. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Summer Serpes, and I'm an English instructor and basic skills coordinator at Irvine Valley College. In 2012, I worked with a colleague to pilot an accelerated basic skills course, one of the evidence-based strategies named in AB 770. The first year of our pilot was messy, stressful, and overwhelming, and we were grateful to receive ongoing professional development from the California Acceleration Project, or CAP, a training program that received BSI funding through the Chancellor's Office and 3CSN. We needed to hear from experienced faculty about what worked in their accelerated classes and what they struggled with. We needed to hear their classroom stories and see what the teaching looked like day by day. We needed help to trust that students could do more than we'd been asking of them and that this new pedagogy would work. In my traditional basic skills classes, my students did minimal reading and wrote only basic paragraphs. Now these same students are reading multiple books and challenging academic articles and writing essays about theories of addiction and the nature of human cruelty. We are asking them immediately to join academic discourse, and they are rising to the occasion. Our accelerated course has been in place for nearly 4 years, and twice as many students as before are now completing college English. The gains are even greater for students of color. In fall 2012, only 12% of African American students in our traditional basic skills sequence went on to pass a college-level course. In our accelerated course, that number rose to 60%. That's 5 times as many African American students completing college English. CAP has supported faculty just like me from 61 of the state's colleges as they offer redesigned accelerated remediation and implement strategies that help more students complete the Gatekeeper college-level English and math courses. With the support of the new $60 million Community Colleges Basic Skills and Student Outcomes Transformation Program, even more colleges will have the opportunity to implement and scale up strategies that will dramatically improve completion and equity. AB 770 focuses our attention on the right outcomes, the completion of college-level math and English classes. Research has shown that this is a critical early momentum point in students' progress toward degrees and transfer. We know a lot more now about how to move this specific needle than we did when the Basic Skills Initiative began in 2007. The key is to reduce or eliminate students' time in remediation and provide accelerated pathways into college-level courses. AB 770 names several evidence-based strategies that work, such as letting more students begin directly in college-level courses without remediation, providing additional support inside college-level classes, and replacing multi-level basic skills sequences with well-designed and well-taught single-semester courses. Across the colleges working with CAP, these strategies are producing gains of not just a few percentage points, but double, triple, and quadruple the student completion. At Irvine Valley College, our accelerated course has been so successful that we have gone from offering just 2 sections to completely eliminating our traditional basic skills sequence. By fall 2016, we will have gone full scale. No student will be required to take more than a single semester of basic skills writing classes. We did this by building a local professional development program to help faculty teach with the high challenge, high support pedagogy we learned in CAP. 17 faculty have been trained so far, and they and their students are experiencing the same transformation we experienced in our early pilot. One colleague sends me text messages about the joy she feels when she sees what her students are capable of achieving, and others stop by my office, excited to share their students' success stories. And even more say that what they've learned is transforming all of their classes, not just the accelerated basic skills ones. To say that we are happy with the gains we've made at Irvine Valley College would be an understatement, but we don't plan to stop there. We are discussing a new co-requisite course that would allow basic skills students to enroll directly in college English with extra support, and we are working to change placement policies to further improve completion. Some of these plans are being written into our transformation proposal as we speak. My college's experience points to the potential for real change in basic skills completion rates across California. It also highlights what's needed to support that change. We couldn't have done this without the professional development provided by CAP and funded by the State Chancellor's Office. And we couldn't have done it without the resources at our own colleges provided for faculty training. With the new $60 million grant funds, California has a real opportunity for transformative change. Colleges that have been running small-scale pilots of these strategies can scale up their programs and impact a greater proportion of their students. And other colleges can use this as an opportunity to truly redesign remediation so that all students have a better chance of meeting their academic, career, and life goals. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Assemblymember Irwin. I wanted to thank you personally for all the work you've been doing to advance basic skills. And good morning to all of you and to all of the educational leaders and academic professionals. I want to thank you as well and just reinforce some of the earlier sentiments that were said. You all are our guidance. You're inspiration to us, especially students like myself that are first generation. So always keep that in mind. And thank you for all that you do. And I'm very thankful for the opportunity to be here today and to share my story. So my mother is a Palestinian immigrant. She immigrated to this country as a child, and my father has been taking care of himself since the age of 14. So with those kind of circumstances, neither of them have been afforded the opportunity to attend college. They both worked physically straining jobs, right? And eventually that led to some severe physical disabilities. So for most of my childhood, my parents have been disabled, and I have been working since the age of 15 to help, right? So these circumstances actually became my motivation to pursue higher education. I realized that if I worked hard in school and worked my mind instead of my body, I would have something to fall back on, you know, if my body failed out on me one day. So in high school, the only guidance I really had was counselors and teachers. And I eventually graduated, accepted my enrollment to San Francisco State University. And the first semester there, without my contribution to the bills at home, and with the difficulty of finding a job in that city, I was quickly unable to afford attending that university. And I had to withdraw because our home unfortunately went up for foreclosure. So at the time, that was really difficult. But coming back home and enrolling in community college ended up being one of the best decisions of my life. So I enrolled in San Diego Miramar College, and I had a great sense of guidance from a lot of the student support programs that were existing at that time. So the Equal Opportunity Program was a big inspiration to me, and other student leadership opportunities, which I took advantage of after my first year attending Miramar, since the first 2 semesters, you know, were spent kind of adjusting to college life. One of my first experiences at San Diego Miramar College was taking the assessment test. And I was one in a group of 30 plus students that were kind of just ushered into this room like, okay, you're gonna take this test. It's gonna place you, you know, into the classes that you're supposed to be placed in. There was never any guidance of, okay, you know, this is a really important test that can save you a couple semesters if you study or do well. And this was in fall of 2011. So what I didn't realize at the time is that when I accepted into San Francisco State, I started in a college level math class. I was in algebra. I withdrew that semester, and so it was actually in spring of 2012 when I took the assessment test, probably kind of in the middle of fall 2011, spring 2012, because I was starting in spring 2012 at Miramar. And when I took the assessment test, the scores came out, and I actually ended up scoring 2 levels below college. So this was a demeaning, you know, situation because college level math for San Diego Miramar College is called elementary algebra. So if you can kind of put yourself in that perspective, you come into college, this is your first time, and you're taking 2 semesters below elementary algebra. So it's a kind of, a hit to the pride. And unfortunately, that's still the title of many college level courses around the state. So these placement results were obviously inconsistent with the CSUs and resulted in an additional year of courses below college level that I needed to take. This same circumstance of placement into basic skill courses caused most of my friends to withdraw from the system altogether because they felt embarrassed and incompetent to complete college, especially since their parents were lacking college education and therefore guidance to contribute to their child. I began to realize the magnitude of this issue when I was hired in November of 2014 as a student success peer for the Outreach and Assessment Office on my campus. The majority of students on that campus, many coming straight out of high school, scored below college level in either math or English, and this can be exacerbated by the inconsistency of placement between the educational systems in our state. So as was my experience at between San Francisco State and community college, I know that our educational systems can do a better job of working together to make the end goals of our students, especially those from disadvantaged backgrounds as myself, attainable through a more consistently streamlined and accelerated path. I am happy to say that community college has begun, my community college has begun the process of dual enrollment programs with our local high schools so that students may get a head start with the transition from high school to college. We have also started preparing high school students for the assessment tests during their senior year, enforcing the importance of such assessments and even offering the test to be taken within the comfort of their campus classrooms. For those students that continue to score below college level in math or English, we offer support through programs such as the First Year Experience Program, which I am a peer mentor for, and it provides both academic and personal support for first-generation students during their first year of higher education. I have complete faith in the successful outcomes of such support programs because I am a product of those programs myself. I could have easily not been here before you today testifying because I could have become too discouraged by needing to take 2 levels below elementary algebra or stopped out along the way towards finally reaching the college level math course. When faced with the choice of needing to support my family or pursuing an education, I could have chosen to drop out of school like many of my friends. And so the more that you can do to help eliminate the need for students to make such decisions, to more correctly assess and place students, since time is a luxury that many of us don't have, and support students along the way in remedial courses. The more student stories such as mine you will have to reflect on with pride. And I'm happy to say that I have applied to the UC system. I will get my acceptance letters in the spring, and I am planning to major in international relations with an emphasis in peace and conflict resolution. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Marlene Dean. I'm a math professor here at Oxnard, and I am the lead instructor for the transitional math program. So we have actually renamed our classes. They're not elementary algebra and pre-algebra. We call them transitional math here. I feel like I'm kind of the follow-up for everything everybody's been saying so far. In 2008, we had an interim president who came to the math and English departments and said, I would really like it if you'd create a program so that our students could accelerate through as fast as they can. Because they're coming in and maybe they're just a little rusty, or maybe they were, I'm sorry, what did you say? Uninspired during high school, and they're taking the placement test and they're placing into low math, but they don't need to be there, so can we get them out? And it was easy to see the need. She's expressed many of the needs already. Unfortunately, this is a nationwide problem. It's not just in California. It's just everywhere. When I was tagged for the project initially, I met with the president, and I'll never forget what he said, and so something to keep in mind. He said, you're going to create a program, and you're going to fail. Well, first of all, I had been in education for about 25 years at that point, and I thought, oh my goodness, that's just wrong to say that to me. But he said, you're going to fail, and then you're going to look at it and you're going to study the data and you're going to figure out what you did wrong and you're going to fix it. And then you're going to fail again. And at that point, I thought, okay, we're done and I don't want to do this anymore. And it was a great piece of advice because here we are 7 years later, and that's exactly what our department has done. The workshops that you're talking about were great. What a great idea. Back then, we were just ourselves. At first, I was my own person in a room trying to create a program that the president told me to create. What happened is we went from one instructor full-time, that was myself, a few part-timers helping us out. This woman that sat at the front desk that was one of my basic skills students helping people. She was the tutor. And we were trying to get this program off the ground. We've gone from that with a paper file for every student, and at the end we had over 300 students, so we had a lot of paper files. And now we have scaled up to about 700 to 800 students, and there are no paper files. But the best part was that we involved all 15 faculty. We involved everybody we could find. We got together as a group and we discussed, okay, now you have to understand that when you get together with a group of 10 full-time math faculty and you try to come to a consensus, this is kind of a challenge. You can imagine what the discussions were like. It was craziness. In fact, it was 2 years of craziness. We didn't use any basic skills money for all the discussing. We used it to go across the country and look at programs that were working. The National Center for Academic Transformation, they have great programs. They've published the data. We went back and looked at the programs. We went to conferences. And I would like to emphasize at this point, exactly again what the panel was saying before, we went back this time. Not I went and I looked. It was we went back. And the whole department, everybody had a different idea. And it was just amazing. See, I'll get teary-eyed. Because it was kind of like being in a silo. And then when you include everybody, everybody's going to step up and give you that piece that you need. Whether it's, hey, you know, I don't like the way you're doing that, to your notation is wrong. I'm not going to teach that class. That's okay too. You know, we needed to hear all that. So I see 3 different ways that the money that you are talking about is going to go. And one of the ways will be that it'll go to developing new programs. And then there's the program that's small that could be scaled up. Ours was eventually completely changed in 2013 by our faculty because we couldn't scale it up. And it wasn't working, and we needed to look at the data and realize it was not truly accelerating our students. And since that was the point, we stopped. And we went in a different direction, but this time with the whole faculty on board. We're kind of in the position where we need to improve. We have what we think is a basic format that works for us, but there's some huge improvements that the possibility of finances could help. We've studied our data. What we see is in 2-year increments, because we can't look at 6 years. We started in 2013. So when we look at 2-year increments, we see that we've gone from 6 to 9% acceptance, 6 to 9% passing at the intermediate algebra level, which is for their AA, to now we have around 21% passing when they get to the end of the 2 years. Now, that's a horrible number. It's 20% of our students that come in below transfer level. 20% are getting through. So when our students come in, we have to look at a lot of things, and I really like the part where the legislation has in it that we need to look at the placement process, because I think that that's huge. The more we hear about GPAs being part of the, that's what we need to look at. Look at their GPAs, because if they had a 3.5 going through high school and they took all these math classes, not everybody was wrong about them, right? We need to kind of think about that. So we need to relook at our placement. But the big ones are offering support to our students. I had a colleague make a comment recently that that really hit home for me. She was talking about the fact that we have such a large population of first-time college students. And those students need support. And what happens is we come up with these great programs and we say, go! And we want you to accelerate, and we want you to be here instead of here, and we want to raise our college requirements from elementary algebra to intermediate algebra, and nowhere in there did we put the support for those students. Well, I love looking around Oxnard because Oxnard is scrambling. They're looking, and they want it. And I appreciate this opportunity because we have counselors that are trying to put first-year experiences together for students. We have an Omega program run by Dr. Luis Gonzalez here, and it's all to captivate those audiences that need that extra support. Well, math needs that extra support also. So when I start seeing the Omega program and the 3SP and all these programs coming on board to help our students, I kind of see this money as an opportunity for us to gear up our support for our students. Our program is fine, but what we see day in and day out is that our students are not prepared mentally for our program. They're not ready for it. They come in and they need basic skills because they are rusty or they never learned them or they never went to school, and we need to give them that support. We've done, using BSI money, we have run 3 summer booster programs. And while we ran those programs, we studied what helped the students, what didn't help the students, and for this summer, for the first time ever, we have 3 programs coming into play that will support the students in how to learn math and science. But at the same time, we're teaching them that fluff because it is, you know, it's like, hey, let's teach you how to learn it. We're also going to teach them the math that they need to be prepared for their course. So the support ideas that we need help with here at Oxnard, we need to hook up with our local university here and create an internship program with their math education and with their maybe early education students so they can come over and be our tutors and learn and get experience about what it's like to teach people. We need to train our own tutors and our own part-time faculty who come and go. I mean, in a 2-year institution, tutors come and go left and right. As soon as you get one trained, they're gone. Thank you, they transferred. And we get another one, and now we have to train that one. And we need to create that program that can be done simply and efficiently so we are ready to go all the time to help our students. And then finally, we'd like to personalize our program. We stole from back east. We took it, we brought it here, we use it, and we customized it to us, but we need to have ownership. Ownership by our faculty. It would be wonderful if every video our students saw in our math program was a faculty member that produced that video, and so that they could connect to the campus, because we've learned that connection to our campus is just a key element. So you could tell I'm a little excited. I'm sure I forgot a million things that I was going to say, but thank you for coming, and I hope we gave you a broader picture.
Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Luis Gonzalez, and my position, my title, is actually a result of the great work of faculty like Marlene and other faculty and administrators here on our campus, that they did great work to change the culture at Oxnard College regarding basic skills. Similar to what you mentioned earlier, basic skills has so many names: basic skills, developmental education. And so as a college, we decided to change that. And the result was a new division. That's Transitional Studies Division, which is what I'm responsible for. And I don't want to repeat a lot of what was said already, but one of the things that we are doing in the Transitional Studies Department is we have accelerated English courses to help students speed through, if they can, speed through the transitional level or basic skills level English courses. We have two courses that are below transfer level, English 68 and 96, that we pair together so that students can take those 2 courses within 1 semester, so that they don't take 2 years to complete basic skills, but instead take 1 semester and then get into the transfer level courses. We also moved on to include 96 and then the 1 transfer level course together. So there's 96 and 101. Again, hoping that our students can progress through transitional studies quicker if they can, and then provide them the support so that they get to the transfer level sooner as opposed to 2 years or maybe even 1 year or even 2. Let's see, what else do I want to cover for you all? A lot has been said, so I don't want to repeat it all. But something that somebody else mentioned earlier was that it's not just an instructional issue, that we need to provide students with the support services in order to succeed. And research has shown that providing students with dedicated location for them to receive academic support for basic skills courses leads to positive outcomes. And at Oxnard College, we established a centralized location for students to receive additional academic support for basic skills level English, which is the Writing and Reading Center, which is coordinated by one of our basic skills level faculty members. We also have the Transitional Math Center, which is a dedicated place for students who are in our transitional math program where they get dedicated support for that transitional math class. So we have those both locations in one location currently in the library, and we have them staffed by student tutors. The writings and both places also have faculty support. So in addition to having the student tutors and part-time staff tutors, we have faculty that are dedicating their time to help students in these basic skills level classes to provide them with the academic support to pass those courses. This semester, we're also piloting an assessment test prep program where matriculation and outreach staff are promoting our tutoring of the assessment test. So what has been said throughout this morning is that students take the test cold. They show up not realizing that they're going to be taking this pretty lengthy test and not prepared for it. So what our matriculation and outreach staff is doing is they're sharing that with them that we have tutors at the library. They provide them with a workbook with practice tests or practice exams or questions. They can go to the library and they will receive tutoring for those questions so that they can kind of prepare for the exam and hopefully score better. Lastly, another idea that came out that we've done for our basic skills classes is through funding from the Student Equity Plan, we've bought all the textbooks for our transitional level English courses. What came out of some discussions with some of our faculty in transitional studies was that they are in their 4th week of class and students still don't have their textbooks. Whether it's because of financial aid reasons or just financial reasons, period, students couldn't afford or didn't have the means to purchase a book. So what we decided to do was purchase all the books, the textbooks, for all levels of transitional level English so that the students have the books from day one, and that will help the instructors with their instruction and the students with having the material that they need for those assignments that they have to complete, hopefully on time. So that's some of the work that we've already done. However, we're also looking to scale it up. So for example, our transitional English accelerated courses are only taught by one faculty member at the moment. We're looking to increase the amount of accelerated courses that we offer, but our current faculty are pretty maxed out as far as our load is concerned, so we have to find creative ways of doing that. So that's one way that we could potentially use these funds is to increase our faculty availability or get more faculty that can teach these level courses for us. And of course, embedded tutors for our accelerated English 101 class. Our success rates for our 68 and 96 accelerated courses have been phenomenal. They've been promising. But what we found was that when we have our students in our accelerated 96, they do well. And then they get into the accelerated 101, and there's some drop-off. And it's because it's higher level coursework. What we wanted to do is this summer we're going to be piloting embedded tutors in those courses so that the instructor has additional support and the students have additional support to help them pass that higher level course. But again, that costs a little more money and money that we don't currently have. So we're finding creative ways of paying for it, and this is one way that we can be able to pay it for it and scale it up for future reference. So I think that's it for me.
Okay. Thank you. It was really helpful for me to hear what it means from a local perspective, from a student perspective. So that was great. I have a question as far as, well, first of all, there's a lot of remedies to address this. That's what this proposal is all about, is trying to figure out where the most effective and cost-effective and so forth. And this is not just an issue with the community colleges. We have this at the CSU system and at the frankly, the K-12 system as well. A few weeks ago, there was a focus on what's happening with CSU, and just one example of something unique that I learned that they were doing down at Long Beach State is there was a science class that essentially 50% of the students were failing first-time freshmen in the science class, and they got a grant to do just what you're doing to find ways how they could change. And they realized that so many students, most of them have a computer. Some of them have, some of them don't, but they can go to the library, or they may have a phone or so forth, and they all know how to find YouTube. And they have these little clips that they would take before the courses. And I was thinking, most of the community college students, not most, a lot of community college students, they have families, they work, they have to do other stuff, like you were saying. They don't have time always, even if you had a tutor, to go meet the tutor after class. They have to go pick up their kids from school or go to work or what have you. Have you started integrating technology and maybe you could have these refresher little YouTube tutor classes on the course and so forth. So what are we using with the modern 21st century technology to help address this issue as well?
Well, actually, Marlene and I have been discussing the idea of posting videos of directed learning activities for students in the transitional math program for these refresher kind of activities. So she already holds these sections where she has breakout sessions for students on specific lesson plans, and they have them in these study rooms in the library. But one thing that we were talking about was recording those and having those types of breakout sessions available for students to follow at their own pace, anytime, anywhere, through the YouTube videos or embedded somehow in our website online.
At our college, the math faculty just piloted an in-person refresher course over the summer for students who placed 2 or 3 levels below, and they're currently working on videotaping those so that they'll go on YouTube. They're doing some pre-assessment videos for students to watch, and then some of the refresher courses they're creating so that the students can watch them online and do the work along with them and then reassess, and also the ones that are pre-assessment as well.
Great. Seems like a no-brainer. So.
First, I want to say, Olivia, thank you very much for coming. We hear all these statistics, and sometimes you forget that there are people and stories behind the statistics, and that you were able to be helped, and that you are going to be transferring to UC. That's very commendable. So I do appreciate you speaking. For the faculty, you were sort of early adopters, and now we're looking at what are the difficulties that you faced and the obstacles that you faced in implementing these reforms, and is there something that can be done proactively as schools adopt the reforms and bring these new transformational programs on?
I think that the difficulties that we see can so often be removed, or at least lessened, if we have the model programs that people can look at. But everything, unfortunately, in our system is not this nice cookie cutter approach. So I think we're always going to face some difficulties, but with the workshops, schools should be encouraged to attend workshops that are going to help them start out with the fewest problems. I know with our program, it's a constant reevaluation of what we're doing, so we're always, there's difficulty there, okay, we got to fix that. It would have been great to see somebody's program that was already functioning exactly like ours. So to lessen that would be to maybe make sure that schools that are using the program are partnered up with students that plan on implementing the program in a real way, actually partnered with them, saying, you're going to implement this program, why don't you go meet with that school and see what they're doing? Because just experience seems to be a big plus.
I think for us, one of the challenges has simply been time. It's difficult to teach a full load and create a whole new program at the same time. And so a lot of our faculty come up with really great ideas and want to implement, and there's just simply not the time in the day. And we also don't want to pull so many faculty out of the classroom to work on projects. So the more full-time faculty we have, so that we can kind of spread that across people and still have people in the classroom and have people working on these innovations. I think that's been a challenge for us.
And at both schools, it's just full-time. At your school, it's just full-time faculty
it's both.
that's working on?
No,
okay.
I mean, I think I'm the director of the program. I'm full-time faculty, but I train adjunct faculty as well in our training program. And Another challenge has been they keep getting hired, which is wonderful for them, but they go through our training program, they're ready to go, they can teach our classes, and then they get hired, which is fantastic. But we need those full-time faculty that we can train and that are going to stay with us and continue to teach these courses.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
again
thank
for
you.
participating. I know we're a bit over time, but we're going to try to plow through and get through this and accommodate everybody. Our last panel will go back to the issue we're frankly talking about today, which is the budget proposal from last year and how it blends in with the basic skills budget proposal in the 2016-2017 budget. You guys flip your name tags at the ends. Okay, Chris, you want to start?
Certainly. Chairman, Member Irwin, Chris Ferguson for the Department of Finance. The governor's budget proposes a $30 million Proposition 98 augmentation for the Basic Skills Initiative program. With that augmentation, the total allocation for that program will be approximately $50 million per year. That's an annual augmentation. Specifically, we're also proposing to make some changes to the program. In terms of distributing the funding, we would look at some student success metrics. Specifically, the Chancellor's Office would look at some student success metrics and provide a weighting factor for those that are participating in the transformation program or those colleges or districts that implement those same practices as the transformation program proposes. But in addition, there is a hold harmless that is placed in the program to ensure that no community college district would receive less under this new program than they received under the previous program. To apply for the Basic Skills Initiative funding, community college districts would submit a plan to the Chancellor's Office. That plan would identify measures to successfully transition students to college-level courses, and it would also specifically include the development and implementation of multiple measures of assessment and placement, and it would place priority for those community college districts that are implementing transformation program objectives or are participating in the transformation program. In addition, it expands the allowable use of these funds to include a few additional categories. Specifically, it allows for expenditures on those evidence-based practices that are identified in the transformation program. It authorizes the use of these funds for the development and implementation of open educational resources for English as a second language, mathematics, and English basic skills courses. It also allows community college districts to use these funds to work with their local educational agency partners in the California State University campuses to better align the offering of their programs. And then lastly, it expands the use of these funds to include the revision of assessment and placement procedures in campuses. And just at a high level, multiple measures of assessment we've heard many times today. What that includes is looking at more than just one placement exam. So for example, it could be you look at placement exam scores and high school GPA. The last mathematics or English course that you took in high school, it looks at multiple factors when determining what that placement should be. We do know there are a few community college districts in the state that have successfully implemented the multiple measures of assessment, and what they're seeing is an increase in equity. All votes are rising on a course-by-course basis. Long Beach comes to mind. And with that, that is the governor's proposal.
Thank you.
Judy Hyman, Legislative Analyst Office. The proposal has a number of strengths and weaknesses. One of the strengths is the very clear statement of what the performance measures would be. And getting back to your question, Mr. McCarty, those measures are based on a much shorter time frame than that 6-year measure that's what's publicized in the scorecard. So perhaps a very concrete recommendation going forward might be for the Chancellor's Office to provide that shorter-term measure on the scorecard. Some of that information is available by going into their data mart and basic skills cohort tracker, but that's a little more difficult for folks to do and to just update the measure. While it might make sense for program completion measures to have a longer time frame, given part-time students at the community colleges, for the completion of the first college level course, it's hard to imagine a justification for looking at that over a 6-year period instead of a 2-year period. Second, the requirement for campuses to do a self-assessment is positive, although you might want to look at whether that assessment from 10 years ago may need some updating, given all the R&D that has occurred in the area of basic skills education over the last 10 years. Third, the performance funding component is promising. Although, again, on this issue of how soon can we expect to see results, if you're looking for results from the transformation program, you won't see those in the first year because this money is going out at the same time as the transformation funding. So you would need to wait at least to the second and perhaps the third year to actually see results of transformation. But as an ongoing incentive, it makes sense. Now to some of the weaknesses. By proposing these reforms to the program and what the funds should be used for, the administration seems to be acknowledging that the program as currently structured isn't really meeting the expectations, especially as far as the scale of reform. Yet, the proposal allows colleges to more or less continue what they're doing and get the same level of funding that they're receiving with that hold harmless. And we wonder whether that makes sense if they can't demonstrate that what they've been doing for the last 10 years has shown some positive effects. Should they continue getting up to $20 million of this funding to continue doing that? Instead, you could require colleges as a condition of participating in the program to do more than just the one little letter A that describes the program as it was, but to also adopt some of the other practices. Second, the priority for colleges that are participating in the Basic Skills and Student Outcomes Transformation Program, although it allows also for priority for other campuses that are adopting reforms, is a little puzzling given the timing. Because again, this funding would be going out concurrently with that funding, effectively, or just a few months later. So the basic skills programs at those colleges would suddenly be faced with implementing 2 big grant programs at once, in effect. And we've seen some of the difficulties that campuses face with the multiple student success initiatives when they've really been flooded with new funding and new requirements and new activities, and it's been very difficult for them to keep up with it. So it might make more sense to think of that more sequentially. Let them do the transformations through the $60 million transformation program, and then in the future think about providing the ongoing funding to continue expanding the scope of those if they're proving effective. Along the same lines, it may make sense to consider using this funding instead of for supplementing the ongoing Basic Skills Initiative program, instead to expand the number of campuses that can participate in the transformation program. So you get more campuses able to do the transformation, and then going forward, you can supplement ongoing funding to keep that momentum going forward. And then lastly, the language currently calls for the Chancellor's Office to develop the allocation formula and to get the concurrence of the Department of Finance, and we would just suggest that you may also want to be involved in looking at that formula and providing some oversight.
Teresa Tena with the Chancellor's Office wanted to just make a couple of comments about the language as well. We're still in the process of reviewing the language and the metrics, but look forward to working with the administration and the legislature as this moves through the process. I think a couple of overarching things that we wanted to just be mindful of is, to ensure that whatever we go forward with in terms of metrics, that they're in alignment with our current scorecard. Certainly appreciate the dialogue related to kind of the lagging indicators of the scorecard, and I mean, that is something that has been discussed in some of our scorecard meetings in terms of perhaps shortening the time frame to more of a leading indicator. But again, wanted to ensure that you know, we look to the scorecard as the overall mechanism to measuring improvement. I think another couple of things that we just wanted to note is that, you know, other factors may be needed to achieve outcomes desired, and, you know, these are things that, you know, certainly as the process unfolds, we'll be able to get more input and have more simulations run and kind of think about this over a period of time. You know, we're supportive of linking a portion of the new resources to student outcomes, you know, certainly mindful that we need to look closely at any unintended consequences. And of course, you know, very appreciative of the proposal and that it's new ongoing resources for basic skills. And then again, just some implementation issues in terms of, you know, wanting to be, you know, mindful that, you know, gradual implementation may be necessary to ensure integration and stability. And again, finally, this is a longstanding issue which will take, you know, multiple strategies to achieve the results that the state, the system, and the students are looking for.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Just by show of hands, how many people are going to be wanting to do public comment? Okay. Alrighty, so maybe we can, how are we doing that?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We have them maybe kind of line up over there,
They can, or they can come up.
and we can have you grab a microphone and ask the question so we can. We'll try to ask you to hold your comments to 1 minute, if you can.
First, thank you very much for coming here. We appreciate it. And Assemblymember Irwin, thank you for all your work on this. It just seems to me we're missing the component of the K-12 in this. Certainly, they play a big role in how we receive the students, and the dual enrollment programs have proven successful in so many places in keeping 12th grade students engaged in English and math when they are getting some community college credit for those classes. And so just wonder, as you look at this going down the road at including some of that in the models that might work real well.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dr. Jessica Cristo. I'm from East Los Angeles College. I'm an adjunct English instructor, and I'm also coordinator with 3CSN. I just came to public comment on the importance of the Basic Skills Initiative. When I was at ELAC for 6 years, I directed many BSI-funded programs that came to us through the partnership with 3CSN and learning from other state BSI programs. We served 10% of all incoming students through these first-year programs that really got adopted by the campus. I also speak to you as a Latina instructor because I teach at a predominantly Latino campus, which I'm very proud to do so. And I think it's really important for people like myself, faculty of color, to be part of this BSI and transformation grant, but BSI funding as well, because we need to be at the table, especially when we talk about equity. And we have ways in which we can teach students in a culturally competent manner. So I thank you for my participation here today.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair and Assemblymember Irwin, my name is Peter Morse. I serve as the president of the Santa Monica College Faculty Union. I'm also here actually on behalf of the Faculty Association of California Community Colleges, where I serve as an elected member of their board. Thank you for conducting today's hearing. Improving basic skills is essential to what we do at the community colleges. And FAC is grateful for that ongoing money that's being proposed to supplement what we do in helping our state's well-being. We're simply unlikely to deliver significant measurable outcomes in this arena if the funding stream is one time. FAC would also like to underscore the significance of the Academic Senate in the process of these funds. Our system delegates curricula and instructional matters to their expertise and their oversight. And they have done and continue to do a magnificent job in all that they've been tasked with. As important as these additional funds and basic skills are to our system, we also cannot lose sight of the other basic infrastructure that underlies all that we do, and that's full-time faculty and the support of part-time faculty. And we heard that from a couple of the panel members, that there just isn't time to get a lot of these things done without increases in numbers of faculty. There was no new money in the budget proposed for either of these purposes, and we see that as a tremendous shortcoming in this January budget. With our emphasis on student success, especially in basic skills, we must start with the support of college fundamentals, which are teaching and learning. FAC looks forward to working with you in the months ahead as we piece together the 2016-17 budget, and hopefully we can include new funds for these vital purposes. And we deeply appreciate your support. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Paul Medina. I'm a student here. First of all, thank you for your time and for coming out here. I just thought I'd give you a perspective of what this college has given me. I've come from everything we talked about here, and I've had what I thought was no opportunities. And I come from the disability department as well as from, a single parent. And my chances and my dreams and my hopes were not too broad until I got here. I'm part of the ASG, student government. I'm part of the Omegas. I'm also part of the Addictive Disorders Studies program. And I've achieved so much here that I can only say that without the support of the staff, especially, and these programs, I never would have thought, and nor would it ever happened for me to progress and not only to better myself, but to be able to take my message, my story, and know that with these people who actually care about us, I've never had that prior to coming here. So I know that this college, these professors, and these programs, I figured I'd speak today to let you know that it has made a product out of me. And I continue to take my message and in my dreams and my hopes to know that it's possible. And I just wanted to share this with you from a student's perspective to show you that I too can, I will succeed. And because of all these people here is a big part of where I'm at today. So I want to say thank you. And to all of you guys, thank you very much for taking your time and for giving back, just like Olivia Light's story. We all have stories. And I think sometimes we tend to lose ourselves in between all this. And to hear all that they're willing to participate in coming down to what we're coming from, it's just wonderful to hear, and it just delights me to be a part of this and to represent for Oxnard College, because without them, like I said, I wouldn't be more than what I thought I used to be, but now I know I'm someone and I'm something more than that. So thank you for sharing.
Hi, my name's Jose Ceja, and I'm also with the Omegas. And I just wanted to say the subject on you guys are just funding on is English and math. And what I was wondering is why don't we all think about all the other opportunities there is in college, which is automotive, engineering, or sports, and ability to progress in life actually, not just focus on writing and on English, because those skills come with time. So we could focus on more students actually coming to our college and make it fun for us to actually participate in all these programs that are available, not just English or math. Because all the other programs are getting lost. There's people that don't know how to fix a car. There's people that don't know how to cook. There's people that don't know how to fix their appliances. There's just all those other things that are happening in the world, and we're not focusing on that. We're only focusing on ourselves and being selfish and only the things that we want, which is money. And money's not going to get us anywhere if we don't get together and actually progress in life and actually see what we want out of life. And our children are watching us, fighting all the time and just thinking, okay, how are we going to do it for the rent? How are we going to do this for coming to school and picking them up on time? And everything is just it's a cycle of life. But the thing is that the cycle of life is actually comes deeper than that, that we don't focus ourselves on what we actually want. We always focus on the things that people want us to do or focus on other things. There's different races, and we all should get along and think about how can we make the college actually better. Not just think English and math, because math is hard and English is hard too. But if we actually get onto the programs and see what else is available, like engineering, how to build a house, how to take care of a house, those are things that we need. Because if we don't get those things, how are we going to progress in the world? How can we make the whole world change if we don't progress ourselves and see what we actually like to do? Well, some people like to cook, but they're not chefs. They like to cook for their family. So those are some basic skills that we should all think about and try to focus on and try to make our family actually feel better at home and take care of our people, because when we get sick, who takes care of us?
I'm going
The
to have to ask
doctor.
you to wrap it up.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more speaker? Yes.
How are you? How you guys doing? My name is Josh Reese. I want to thank you guys for making the honor to come to Oxford College, which is a very unique community. If you guys really follow it up, people that were born and raised here, it's been a change, and change is hard. You know, who would think Oxnard would grow with this redevelopment and become what it is? You understand? If education could teach you that, guess what? People will be able to land in areas and communities and counties and invest in that. But it don't teach you that. I was born and raised here. I have a learning disability, 1. 2, I'm a EAC student. 3, I'm challenging my disability. 4, what I like is that I seen a glass ceiling in the corporate industries. You work as a worker. We had a young lady that's first generation. And you go in there and you put your ego into work and success, and you think you're going to move up. You see that glass ceiling. Then they go hire somebody and they want you to train that person because you don't have that piece of paper. But you take an assessment test, and it's proven that it does not relate who you really are. And it's sad because now that kind of gave me an anger to bankrupt what I know. Work hard with my back, work hard with my labor, my skills that I have, what my brain could actually remember and produce. But when I have to read and when I have to spell, I can't do that. So now in the 21st century, you're behind a screen, you're behind a computer, and that's the way we all relate. So I have to learn how to communicate in a way that, wow, how am I going to do it if I can't read that good, if I can't spell? I couldn't spell the word intern until I became intern president for ASG. People will see in my agenda say that's wrong. I say, oh, okay, how you spell it? You know, I couldn't spell secretary. I was secretary of ASG. That's wrong, how you spell it. Then I learned through people, through students, you understand? And I enrolled at the bottom, EAC classes. Why? Because it teaches you the law of our country, of our language, which is English, is a second language. And if you can learn that through EASL, then you're prepared to challenge any other escalating program that comes in front of you, because you learn slow and you finish fast. You go fast, you're not gonna make it. You understand? So what I done is I put myself as an example of walking through all the hits. Some ESL classes were canceled because of the budget. Change hurts, but there's things that could be implemented with new terminology to bring them back, which is cool. That's why you guys are here for. So what I suggest is that focus on these basic skill classes, because 1, people that have basic skills and have learning disabilities, put some kind of definition in there too, that not because I have a learning disability, I could be a full-time student. It's not gonna happen. So I don't get the full-time benefits. If there's programs that you guys are gonna implement and say you have to be a full-time student, it's not gonna benefit me. Because what is my full-time status for my disability? And I wish you guys could put a definition into that, because it impacts a lot of disability students. And as an ASG president, a lot of people will come to me, a lot of students, and complain. And I say, well, you have to put it in writing so I know you're serious. And if you don't, I can't do nothing about it.
I'm going to have to ask you to wrap it up.
Okay, so I appreciate what you guys have done. I appreciate the people that came. And I hope we can make a good decision for the 21st century, because we're going through a change of a global change. So let's take that in consideration. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks for coming. You're doing important work, and we're glad that you're doing it.
Thank you. Well, thank you. That will conclude the public comment section. I just want to note that this was an extremely informative hearing from my perspective as the chair of the subcommittee overseeing education funding in California, especially the community colleges. This is the community colleges, one person noted, is the workhorse system of our higher education segment in California, and this is really an issue that we need to make improvements upon. I think that we have a couple pieces in play that we're working on to have impacts right here at Oxnard colleges and up the street at Ventura Community College and all across the 113 in California. And so this is helpful, and we're going to have more dialogue this year in the budget committee process on this issue, on these two proposals, and hopefully we can adopt a budget that really moves the envelope forward in this issue. So thank you all for participating today. I also want to ask Assemblymember Irwin if she wants to say anything.
I just want to thank everybody that participated today. As I had mentioned earlier, some of you have come from very long distances, and I appreciate the students that sat through. We heard a lot of bright spots in community college education today, and what we really hope happens with this $60 million is that we're able to move the ball forward, because we do not, when you look at these resources, these young people that are stuck and not making it through, thousands and thousands of people, it's just unacceptable. We need them to be part of our economy, part of our community. We need them to get their skills so that they can start contributing. So I think it was a very helpful conversation today, and I look forward to continue to work with all the stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you. That was great. That was good. Thank you. That was great. No, great dialogue. Let me get out of here.